Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel. We're offended, you're offended. I am Kim, and this is Tyler. I'm just kidding. It's just me today. I'm solo. Suckers, you guys got to listen to me talk for however many hours I decide to keep going for. But you can't wait.
Perfect.
Well, there you are. So, how are you today?
So, good. Where are you reporting from?
Well,
That's
I'm
cool. I like that.
thanks. Reporting to you live
No, I
from.
don't think I ever heard of that before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Shoot, I think I sped up the recording a little too much. It's not giving me enough time to speak. Hold on, let's try this again.
What?
I was rewinding the playback because apparently my recording of you speaking to me was a little too fast. I wasn't able to actually finish saying what I was saying.
Oh. Oh, okay. I got you.
Yes. Anyway, welcome. Where are you reporting to from? Oh my God, I did it again. To from today because I can English really well.
I'm from the thing in the place.
Cool. That's really awesome. And where
Place
is that?
where trees are on fire. The ground is on fire.
Are there? Hold on. Let's play a where am I game. Are there a bunch of dirty homeless people where you are?
Well, yeah.
Are you in California?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh, well, shoot. All right.
Nope.
Well,
I am in the beautiful state of Oregon that has a very similar problem to the state of California.
okay.
Just,
That sounds
it's a
fun.
beautiful sight to see. Well, you can't really see much of else because everything's just smoky and fiery and yeah.
Fair enough. So, just a whole lot of smoke everywhere you're going.
Yeah, and homeless.
Sounds very scenic.
Yeah, if you like seeing homeless people.
Who doesn't? I think I
Oh,
have.
it's my favorite.
I think I have a better scenery out our window.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nice, all foresty in the middle of nowhere. So when I murder the whole family, it's all cool.
Speaking of, God, I don't even know how to segue into that one. Speaking of killing your whole family and no one being able to hear them scream. Wow. You're such a romantic.
Thanks.
Mm.
Do you ever hear of cake porn?
Oh my God. No, I have not.
So it's a genre of obviously adult entertainment where girls will sit on cakes.
I'm sorry. Um, and do what exactly?
That's it. That's really it.
Um, and that apparently is something others enjoy watching.
You ever heard? Was it the Rule 32?
I have, unfortunately, yes, I have.
Okay, I told you about it. Is it Rule 32? Is it Rule 34? I think it's Rule 34. Yeah, if it exists, then there is a porn of it. That's Rule 34.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yep. My internet finally came up. Yes, it is that. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you think of, there's a porn for it.
I don't really get the appeal. It's like, okay, neat. Now you gotta have a shower and all that cake is wasted. I don't understand really.
Oh my god, there's ghost porn.
How? How?
I don't know. It just looks like a bunch of KKK members, joined up for a.
Oh my God.
Joined,
Uh,
why?
Do you ever like? I find myself more and more these days having that like dog look on my face, where you just stare at someone and you tilt your head like, what? Like,
Every day we fall farther and farther from God's light.
okay, but um, well, some sort of light anyway. It's definitely becoming very gloomy and dark. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's it's a thing. So
Cool. There's been a few times where something has come out of my mouth, and I'm like, I wonder if there is one for that. But a lot of the weird stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm a little too scared to Google that. I
like
don't
what?
think I'd want to see it.
Like what?
I I can't really say right now.
Oh,
I
okay.
have
Well, that's cool.
yeah, sorry.
Hmm.
I'm just like in general, just weird stuff.
Okay. So I guess with the explanation of Rule 34 out of the way, um, I don't know. Well, I get you. Well, no, you kind of think ghosts are a thing, but
I do think they are a thing, 100%.
yeah.
Mm.
I think I have. Well, like ghosts, like supernatural stuff. I don't know. I've only had one experience with like UFO,
Ooh.
but outside of that, nah.
Okay, well, what was your UFO experience?
I remember I was at my grandma's house, and we were with the outside or the next door neighbors, and we seemed like it was like a light kept like darting across the sky. It looked like a star was darting across the sky, and then it eventually just disappeared. And I know I was with my brother, and he could confirm it, but yeah, it was just one of those weird friggin' things. I don't know. I don't see. I remember a lot of the stuff when I was a kid. Like, you remember the very like the basement? You know, like there was the one basement, and then there was the other
Yeah,
basement.
where your brother's room was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So well, I don't know if it was because I was a kid and like kind of becoming more aware. There's a skeleton fucking a chick.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's a sculpture of a skeleton banging a chick.
In your basement?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I
Well,
just
see,
I just happened to see that.
you just segued right into that. I'm like, what kind of thing did I miss down there? All right. Well, if you want to segue, I guess one thing I can kind of, in a way, attempt at saying without being obvious for earballs and such.
Well,
Snowman.
kick him out of there.
Snowman.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I looked it up. I did. I was really curious, and I did. Yeah, 100% snowman.
Well, tell them to get out of here. Tell them to kick bricks.
Kick bricks. Yeah, that works.
Snowman porn is it? Well, it has to be. It's Rule 34.
Yeah,
It has
100%.
to be.
It was. I saw one. Mhm.
Oh
I
god.
watched it. Yeah, I sure did.
What the fuck? Do you
I
have like
was
some
curious.
post nut regret?
Not really.
You didn't have post nut regret? What, really? So weird.
What? What do you mean? Hold on. Did I miss something there?
Like post nut regret?
What do you mean?
Post nut regret is when you watch like a screwed up porn and after you nut, it's like, why did I watch that?
Oh, then yes, I definitely did.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not really sure what I thought that meant, but it definitely was not that. But yes, I definitely did. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay,
then
so
after the
only thing
second
I
and
ever
third time that I watched it, I had the same feeling. I'm just kidding. Kidding. It was just the once.
No, I think only thing that ever happened in my basement, like whenever I would walk up the stairs, it always felt like someone was chasing after me.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so that's really the only thing that I ever really experienced. I don't know. I never experienced ghost stuff.
Oh my God, I've had so many. It's ridiculous. But speaking of that one, okay. So
But no, man.
no, no. Moving on from 34. Um,
Oh, okay.
back to the basement. Um, there was at my mom's place. Um, there was two things that I'm very aware of that were there. Um, one was like the upstairs and living room. The other one was in the basement. And there would be times where I would go down there and I'm completely fine. Like, okay, well, I got to do my laundry or whatever and go downstairs, no big deal. And just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I would just have this fear come over my entire body. And I would just leave the laundry, everything how it was. And I would run up the stairs. And there was no way nobody could pay me enough money to turn around. I was so scared. I would just run all the way up the stairs, shut the door, and I would stay away. Like, I was just so scared. And there my laundry would sit. There's just
See, I don't.
something down there. It didn't happen all the time. It was just once in a while. And I remember talking to, or my sister mentioning it one day, and I was like, oh my God. It's like, you felt that too? She's like, yes. Like, it's just all of a sudden this undescribable fear. Like, I was too scared to turn around. There was no way I would turn around ever. And this is like literally up until my parents sold their house, which was like, what, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. I think less than that, actually. Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I never experienced that type of stuff. I don't know. It's weird. But like, did you see anything, or was it just like a feeling of unease?
In the basement, I never saw anything. In the
Okay, so it was
basement.
upstairs where you had your sociopathic freaking psycho breaks.
Well, it definitely wasn't sociopathic because I have emotion and empathy. So, and it's not faked.
Schizophrenic? Schizophrenic?
Sure, I was seeing things. Okay. Yeah, it was upstairs that I saw things. Yeah,
Hmm.
in the upstairs, like where the bedrooms were.
Oh, there were bedrooms there? Your house had bedrooms?
They did.
Damn.
Yeah. So the upstairs, I would in our well, see, I think when you saw the house, like my room was on the left side, but that was my sister's old room. So my room originally was on the right side, the pink room. My sister had the blue room. Yeah,
Oh
that's right.
my god.
Yeah. Pink and blue. Yeah. Oddly enough, there was the people who lived in the house before us, they had a boy and a girl. And yeah. So the colors of our house did not stay the same. They repainted it, but they kept with the theme, the blue and the pink. But yeah. Anyway, so I was in the pink room. And
Oh my. When does a pentagon, so this is totally aside.
okay.
Uh, when does a pentagon not have five sides?
Are you kidding me? When it's not a pentagon or
When it's
pentagram.
intersected by a plane?
Oh my God. Oh, that's so bad.
Did I tell you the joke that I I told you earlier?
Oh my God. You can tell the people, but warning. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you can tell them. It's so
No,
bad.
okay, okay, all right. Your story, your ghost story from upstairs.
Oh, you want me to continue with it?
Yeah,
You'll save the joke to the very end so that you can mic drop it out.
yeah.
Be like, haha, everyone listened all the way to the end. um, yeah, so when I was a kid, in my what were you laughing about?
Okay, sorry. Continue.
Are you okay?
What's the difference? What's the difference between an ISIS training camp and an Afghan wedding? I don't know, man. I just fly the drones.
Oh my God. My head went, I'm like, I don't know. They have about the same amount of holes. I know.
Oh man. Okay, sorry. Okay, you're sorry.
Okay, are you going to stop reading your jokes now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, anyway, so yeah, when I was a kid in my pink room, I used to see things coming out of the closet. Um, I would see like shadows coming in and out of the closet every night. Um, Sometimes there would be like red glowing eyes in the closet. And as a kid, which is weird because this is something that obviously I was never taught or anything. It was just instinct, I guess. As a kid, I used to sleep on my bed and I used to put all my stuffed animals in a perfect circle around me and then put the covers over top of me, which then in turn, getting older, you realize I was actually creating a circle around myself, a protection circle, which is weird because, again, this is stuff that I was raised very Catholic. So this is stuff that I never would have been taught, right? So it's just kind of my instincts were there to do this. Um, there was, yeah. So I used to see things going in and out of there all the time. My dolls would be moved. Um, so I'd have them positioned a certain way before I went to bed. Like the dolls, like I used to have this little crib um, in my room, and I used to have just my dolls in there. And I would wake up. Didn't happen every night, but there were nights where I would wake up, or mornings I would wake up, and my dolls were completely moved around. They were either facing the wall or something like that. Like they were just, yeah. Um, there was one time I was having a dream. Now, this, I guess, could have been, you could think what you want. You can think it's like a dream, but I was having a dream that somebody had broken into the house and had taken, or were taking me and my dad. And they had come up to me and they were smothering my face in a pillow and I couldn't breathe. I had woke up and my face, it felt like my face was being pushed into the pillow and I was trying with literally everything I could to lift my head out of the pillow. I was trying and trying and I could not lift my head out of the pillow. And then I heard it was like screaming into the pillow for my mom, and then I could hear my mom coming. She calls out. She's like, "Oh, are you okay?" She's like, "What's going on?" And she's like coming from her room. As soon as she walked into my room, I felt whatever it was on the back of my head lift off, and I was able to peel my head out of the pillow. And I just remember taking this like massive gasp. And then I like look over, and the funny thing is, she was wearing a white nightgown, and it's pitch black, right? So I look over and I just see this white, and it looks like it's floating. And then I screamed because I was like, "Oh God!"
Wait, what was floating?
My mom, because
Oh,
she came in the dark. She didn't turn my light on. She just came
oh,
into my room, and she was wearing a white nightgown. So the way that like the moonlight hit her, all as I could see was her nightgown. I couldn't see her.
oh.
Yeah, so then of course I screamed and started freaking out. She had to quickly turn the light on, but yeah, I like literally could not lift my head out of that pillow. And I was so scared after that. It was ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, see, I've only heard stories, and I remember there was one TV show. Well, there was a couple of them, but one of them got busted because they were faking stuff.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me in the slightest. I've heard of things like that too. And I'm always like when I have watched shows like that, I've always been very skeptical on them. I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. Like it's so much of it is just completely set up. Like I don't a lot of that stuff I really don't buy it whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what paranormal stuff I. I don't know. Bigfoot? No.
Well, even
Um.
I can keep telling you stories if you like. I have a
Yeah.
lot of
No.
them.
Go for it.
I have a lot of them from that house. Um, well, while I was in that room, see, after that one incident that I just explained to you,
Well,
shortly.
actually, do you, sorry, just quickly. Do you know the difference between Michael Phelps and Hitler?
Oh, Jesus.
No, you can. Okay. What's your story?
No, no. What's the difference? Now I need to know.
I can't. I can't say.
Oh my God.
Can't say.
Okay, stop reading your jokes. Either that or just say them, dang it.
You can say the punchline. It comes better coming from a woman's voice than it does a man's voice. And
Oh, oh, that's so bad. I don't even want to say it. Oh my God. Okay, don't hate me. It's a joke. Okay, relax, everybody who's going to get offended. But you know what? If you get offended, I'm offended that you're offended. So the punchline to that joke is Michael Phelps can't finish a race or can finish a race. Oh. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, that is so bad. Anyway, okay. um, back to the non-offensive stories. um, so the other thing, I mean, with that room too, it was always the coldest room in the. We would always get like frost and stuff on the walls. Um, it didn't
oh,
matter if the rest of the house was like boiling upstairs because of heat or something. Like in the summer, it was always very cold in that room. Um, a friend of mine, well, the last incident that had happened in there, like my sister had left home when I was 10. So as soon as she left, I like begged to move rooms. I didn't want to be in that room anymore. It just scared me. And the last incident that I had in that room before I moved out of it and begged to get out was I had woke up one night and there I saw a figure standing, or not a figure, I saw a man standing in the hallway. He was a man wearing like a long black coat. He was wearing a hat. And which oddly enough, thinking about it now, kind of reminds me of my dad's silhouette. But anyway, my dad was sleeping. um, so this guy was standing there, and you know when you're a kid and you're having you're coming out of a dream and you see something and it seems very real, but then you call to your mom or your parents, and then whatever it is that you saw kind of disappears, right? Because you start waking
okay.
up. Okay, because you get scared, you
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
waking up. Like I'm a logical person here. Okay, so I called out to my mom. Thing was still there. I called out to her about 3 times, and then she finally responded. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "There's someone standing in the hall." And she's like, "What?" And then you could hear her like shake my dad awake, and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "There's a man standing in the hall." And he's like, "What?" So he comes flying out of the room, and as he started coming to the door, I saw the thing run down the stairs. And when the guy was standing there, when I had looked at it, I had seen him all of a sudden hold up his hand, and it was like he had a gun in his hand, and he was pointing it at me before my dad came out, and he ran down the stairs. So I told my dad I saw him run down the stairs. So my dad goes and he starts checking the whole house. Nothing was there. So then my dad was pissed.
What the?
Right? He's all pissed off because I woke him up saying there's someone in the house and there's nobody in the house. And, I just woke my dad up from sleep. So he's crabby. And yeah, he was not very pleased with me in the slightest. So the next morning, I woke up and my dad came flying back in the house telling my mom that the garage was broken into. And he had said something must have scared them away because they didn't take all the things they could have taken. They didn't take that much. They still went out with quite the haul, but there was a lot of stuff that was left by the door that they didn't actually take. So my theory was whatever it was that was in the house was purposely trying to wake me, like get me up and get my parents up. And then whoever was in the garage saw lights turning on and they booked it.
What the?
Right? So that was always my theory is whatever, because whatever was upstairs after, I was okay with. Like there was something in the house that I was okay with. I called him Joe. For whatever reason, my cousin and I were playing a Ouija board one day, and I had asked what his name was, and he said Joe. So, Ouija board, take with it what you will, whether it was true or not. That's whatever letters had come out from us potentially pushing it around ourselves, but that's just what I always ended up calling him, was Joe after that. I do believe, however, that Ouija boards should not be played with. They're not a toy. Yeah. I don't know. I've heard lots of horror stories about Ouija boards, so I'm quite against having them in the house. But yeah, so it was after that that I moved rooms into my sister's room.
After the I don't see. I don't know. I don't remember ever think I played around with the Ouija board. I know I did with my brother, but I can't remember if it was like a. I don't know. He was more into like that kind of stuff, like seances and yada yada, and putting the salt ring or whatever around.
So
But
speaking of Ouija boards and your brother, so that day that we were playing with the Ouija board, I can't remember who else it was. I think it was my cousin and one of my other friends. Or two of my other friends, whatever. Anyway, were with us. There was either 3 or 4 of us that were playing it in my living room. And we were sitting there in the living room playing it. And then all of a sudden, and I was home alone because my parents had gone to the cabin. I had the front door open. The screen was up to let air in the house. And all of a sudden I hear this like at the side door. And then someone starts banging on the window. Scared the shit out of me. And that was your brother. Yeah. Oh my God. Scared the crap out of me. Or us, anyway. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't. There like some of them. I kind of. I don't know. I think I spoke about this before, but like Mr. Ballin, like he kind of does like YouTube stuff. Oddly enough, he was saying that he actually started on TikTok and then kind of moved over to YouTube. But
Okay.
I don't know. See, like I like the real stories, like like a stalker doing weird crap and like the real stuff.
Real stuff? What is okay?
Yeah.
Choose your words wisely here. What do you mean the real stuff? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. Like a story. I don't know. Say like something about like I said, I've only seen something that could maybe be like a UFO once. I haven't seen ghosts that I remember. I haven't. I don't know. I've never really experienced stuff like that. I was always curious about it, but I don't know. Yeah, but like I mean, real as in like there was a story of a girl, and when she had like it was like anxiety, like really bad anxiety, and so she lived in an apartment building, and so when she would go out and then eventually come home, her and her landlord actually kind of made like a bit of a kind of a weird relationship. And so for a while, her landlord would like make her food and then just leave it at the girl's table or at her door, and then she would bring it in and eat it and then give it back. And, the girl kept, noticing like things were being moved around in my apartment, things would go missing and stuff like that. She couldn't figure out why. And so eventually, she ends up switching her anxiety medication. And one side effect that she seemed to notice was that she was like super tired. Couldn't stay awake halfway through the day. She was just passing out. She would get so tired. And so I guess when this all kind of finally, this kept happening, and um, so there was one time where she was eating her food in her bed, and she ended up passing out with the food still on, like she was resting it on her, and she ended up waking up like with next to her. It felt like warm. It felt as though someone was sleeping there.
Ew.
And so, she ends up like calling her dad, and they're coming and they were taking a look around, and they're really looking, like really, checking all the corners, checking to see if there's maybe a hiding spot. And so the dad was in her closet, and he's looking around, he's checking things, and inside of her closet. So if you were inside of it, you would have to turn around, and as though you were facing into the bedroom. He said that he noticed that there was some writing at the very bottom, so you would have to be laying on the floor. And
that was hot.
What was
Did the father belch shoe when he hit the ground?
Probably. He's like, oh my god. But he noticed this writing, and it said like, just come a little bit closer. It was written on the ground, and one of the slats on her closet door was missing. And so, the dad ends up approaching her and saying like, did you write this? And she's, well, no. And so he ends up, if I remember the story correctly, there was not like a hidden compartment, but I guess kind of long and short of it was, it was actually the landlord's son would sneak in, would actually break up sleeping pills, put it in the landlord's food that he would give to this girl, and then she would eat it, and he would go and like lay down with her.
Ew.
Yeah, and so at times he would sit in the closet and he would hide and stay there. I might have this confused with a different one, but I think he was just like stuff like that. It's like, man, why are guys so like, when we had the episode about like serial killers?
Well, yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's one thing white people are good at. We are good at killing a lot of people.
Right? It's fucked up. Yeah.
Most of them are men, and they're mostly white guys.
Yeah, it's very rare to have a female serial killer. But actually the one that I had mentioned in there, that I had said the oldest one that they had just caught like 2 years ago. Well, there was the two of them. One was the is it the Unabomber, and then the other guy, or the Golden State, whatever
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. Unabomber. And then the other guy that I had said that they had finally arrested like 2 years ago or something like that, and he was 80 years old. He was actually black, which I was surprised. It is very rare.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, that was which one?
Little. I'm trying to remember what his first name was. I'm going to say Stuart Little, but it was not Stuart Little. Something Little.
Is it like a midget? Midget serial?
No.
Samuel Little.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay.
I think he's only the second one that I've heard of that's been not white.
Oh boy,
Well,
this will be a good.
Okay, maybe no, I can't say that because Ramirez wasn't white. It's like,
how many
oh
how many serial killers are black? Just 32%.
my god. You Googled that?
Duck, duck, go. Fuck Google.
Right.
Wow. So yeah, it was like 32% are African, or I guess black. I don't know. I don't know what you call them. I don't know what you call anything nowadays.
Nothing.
Uh, yeah, 54. Wait, hold on. Just 32% of serial killers were white, while 54 were black and 11 were Hispanic.
What?
What?
How is no? Then how come all the
All
stories you
right.
see, like most of the prolific ones, like the majority of the ones I talked about, they're all white, and it's not like I was
Yeah.
googling white serial killers. I was just looking up serial killers. Like that's a little messed up, actually. I think in all the because I listen to a lot of true crime and stuff like that too. Like I've mentioned a few times, I think there's only been like maybe a handful of stories that have involved a non-white serial killer. There's only two that I know of, to be honest. Like committing crimes
Oh god damn it! I'm
is
just
one
trying to
thing,
look up
but
like the exact definition of a serial killer.
it's more than one. I believe I looked it up before because there was somebody who had only killed, I think they killed like two people or something like that, and they constituted as a serial killer. And I was like, what? I think it's any more than one.
Let's see. Oh god. Well, I wish I could just give me the freaking answer. Definition.
Three or
Serial
more.
killer.
A serial killer is
Is it three?
conveniently defined as a person who murders three or more people in a period of over a month, with cooling down times between murders. There you go. See,
Okay.
I'm queen of Google.
Okay, so I guess if you want to look at it that way, like maybe like a gang type of thing, I guess yeah, that could be a definition.
I guess so. Three or more people in a period of over a month. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so from medical dictionary, let's see. So why does this one say this? A person who murders three or more, okay, blah 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 blah, and whose motivation of killing is largely based on psychological gratification. White, age 30, 97% male, 80% sociopath. I don't know what that. Typical profile: arson tendencies, compulsive drug and or alcohol abusing parents, often victims of cruel or abusive parenting, evidence of biochemical and or genetic defects, history of sexual assault, drug or alcohol abuse, cruelty to animals, yada yada yada.
Okay, and this thing
Hmm.
here says, in the same sense, armed bandits like Bonnie and Clyde, who left 12 or 13 dead bodies behind during their crime spree, might barely count as a serial killer given the narrow definition. But once again, they were killing to get away from a scene and a crime to avoid arrest, not simply because they um, derived pleasure from it. So I think that kind of constant, like, makes the definition as well because you can have someone that kills a bunch of people but doesn't necessarily mean that they're
Yeah,
a serial killer, you know?
yeah, that would like I think because nowadays like mass shooting, I think is anything more than two people is considered a mass shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think serial killer is more people who actually have pleasure from doing what it is that they're doing and kind of keep doing it, not just somebody who gang shooting or a crime spree or something like that. I think yeah, those are very different because when you think
It,
about like a lot of the true crime stuff that I listen to, it's not, you know, this person did this one bad thing, they killed one person, but then killed 10 people on their way out, so they're a serial killer. No, it's not.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not what it is. They were evading police and doing these things out of pleasure. Gross. Yeah.
yeah. So I just want to. Could you hear background noise for you, like keyboard clicking and stuff?
For like me hearing you?
No, on your end.
Um, I don't know what you mean. Like, could I hear you typing on Google?
No, on your end.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Why could you hear me typing?
No, I could. Oh, I could hear typing in the background.
Oh, if so, my apologies. That would be my son.
Okay, so what? What? I guess I don't know. Like, what other stuff? What other creepy ass stories did you have?
Um, God, like I said, there's so many. I mean, I guess I'll try to like cliff notes some of the stuff that had happened in the house without getting, I guess, over detailed. There was one time though, my friend, who you could ask her about this too, would tell you um, that it was obviously true. But there was one time she had like I had told her stories about the room and stuff like that, like the my old bedroom. And she went in there and she was like, "I don't believe in you, blah blah blah, you're not real," and just all this like stuff. She just started yelling at the room and she's laughing and this and that and saying it's all made up and whatever. We were literally on our way downstairs to the basement, oddly enough, because that's normally where I would hang out. Um, and we were on our way down to the basement, and all of a sudden I heard her scream and a bunch of thumps. And I come flying down the first set of stairs, and I'm like, my God, are you okay? And she like turns around. She's lying at the bottom of the stairs in the basement. And she turns around. She's like, why did you push me? I'm like, I didn't push you. I said I wasn't even on like behind you. I was still upstairs. She said that she literally felt two hands on her back push her down the stairs. And weirdly enough, she ended up going upstairs
Yeah.
to the bedroom and she was like, I'm sorry. And whatever. This is I didn't see it. I just saw her at the bottom of the stairs, right? So she will tell you that she felt somebody push her down the stairs. Um let's see. There was that incident. There was another incident where I was on the phone with my boyfriend at the time. And again, I was by myself. My parents were not at home. And I was sitting in my mom's old recliner. And as I'm sitting there, I was, because this is, you know, what teenagers do. I had all the lights on. I had the TV was playing. Um, sorry. The TV was playing, what's that movie called? The Hills Have Eyes, I think it was. It was like a movie about cannibal killers. It was really gross. Um, that was playing, but on mute, and I was
There's a
listening.
few of them.
Yeah, and I started to watch it. Okay, so how it started is I started to watch it, and it got to I think this was like the first one because this was quite a while back. I started watching it, and all of a sudden it got to this point where like it was right in the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie, the guy ended up killing this dog and was going to eat it, and I was like, oh hell no. So I changed the station. As I'm sitting there, literally all of a sudden the TV went whoop back to that station, and I was like, okay, maybe I just hit the remote, whatever. So I turned it off that station again, and then bloop went back on, and I was like, what the hell? So I put the TV on mute, and then I turned the radio on. And then I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone, and I had music playing in the background. Then, as I'm on the phone with him, all of a sudden I heard this blood curdling scream come through the speakers of the radio. And it was like one of those like surround sound radio things. Blood curdling scream come through the speakers. And then all the lights went out, everything went out. It was pitch black. And I was sitting there and I was just like, look, at first I'm like, am I dead? Like, and then all of a sudden I hear my boyfriend, he's like, hello? I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, you heard that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, someone screamed. And I was like, that what came out of my radio. And I said, no, everything went out. I'm like, it's black here. Like TV went out, lights went out, everything went out. And
Racist.
sorry. Sorry. And I like begged him to come over because I was so scared. I literally sat in that recliner. I was like, when I get really, really scared, I get frozen. Like I just freeze and I can't move. Like I was so scared to move because I'm like, what's around the corner? I don't know what's around the corner. So, and this was like before I even had cell phone stuff like that. So my boyfriend finally got there and he like knocked at the door, scared the shit out of me. But I finally like, he said who he was, and then I went running to the door, opened it up, and then he came in. But I was so scared, so scared. Um, there was another time where my friend and I had heard banging. We were sleeping upstairs, and we heard banging coming from the kitchen. And we came downstairs, and there was a bunch of dishes all over the place. Like the dishwasher was open, and there was dishes all over. Um, there
Like they were
was
thrown on the ground?
They weren't broken, but there was some on the ground, there was some on the counter, there was some in the sink, like they were just all over the place. It was weird. And then some of the ones that were still in the dishwasher weren't even like nicely placed. They were just kind of like tossed in there. And we were the only ones that were there. Um my radio would like to turn itself on and off. And a lot of the times in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. And again, I had thought to myself too, well, maybe I just fell asleep on the remote or whatever. Like I'm holding the remote in my hand and then I fell asleep and ended up music's blasting in the middle of the night because I rolled over on it. But it kept happening and happening. And I started leaving my remote on my dresser, not anywhere near me, and it was still happening. So I remember I had told my mom about it one day and she did not believe me. So it started happening. I was sitting in my room and it was happening. It was during the day because it didn't matter when it was, it would just happen. And I started trying to like take note of the songs that were playing. I'm like, maybe something's trying to give me a message here, but it didn't really, whatever was playing didn't really seem to, I don't know, seem like much of a message, I guess. But so I told my mom about it and I called her up to my room and I was like, okay, watch. And then you could see on my stereo, all of a sudden my volume go all the way maximum. And she's like, yeah, where's the remote? I'm like, it's right in front of you. And just the look on her face when she saw the remote sitting right in front of her. I had gone to the bathroom, like, see, I told you. And I went to the bathroom. I came back. She put a rosary on my stereo. And I had actually brought it in to, because I had gotten it from Sears back in the day. And it was like a $600 stereo, like that I had spent my hard-earned work money on. And it was like top of the line stereo at the time, right? And I had brought it in 3 separate times to get them to look at it because of weird stuff happening with it. My mom's like, well, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. Every single time it came back, there was nothing wrong with it. So I remember the last time I brought it in, they're like, okay, well, what's the problem? I'm like, it's possessed. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It's possessed. Can you just like look it over? And I'm telling them what it was doing. They never ended up finding a problem with it ever. I had told my friends about it too. And of course, there's lots of people who are skeptical when they hear stories like this. We were getting ready for going out on Halloween. That's something that we used to always do every Halloween is we would dress up and go to the bar. And pizza had come. So we went downstairs to go have pizza before we finished our makeup and stuff. And we're all sitting downstairs. And then all of a sudden my stereo started blasting. And my friend, she's like, who's upstairs? No one. She's like, what? She comes into the living room, checks in the kitchen. We were all there. And she just like looked at me. I'm like, I told you. Like, so they finally were able to witness my stereo doing weird shit. But it didn't matter if my stereo was on, if it was off, whatever. It would do what it wanted to do when it wanted to do it. I remember one time it woke me up at 3:00 in the morning. And I got so mad because it scares the shit out of you, dude. Like 3:00 in the morning, all of a sudden music's blasting. And I sat up and I'm like, just stop. You're going to blow my speakers. And then all of a sudden you saw the volume go all the way down. I was like, thank you. I wasn't able to sleep the rest of the night after that, but yeah.
So that was all Joe, or what was his name? Joe?
That's what I called him. Yeah. Yeah. I had a TV in my room. Finally, it was one of our old TVs that we had which wasn't old. It was a TV we had in our basement that I used to play games on. So I had begged and begged and begged, and my mom finally said, okay, yeah, I could have it in my room. So I had it in my room. And there's one night I was watching Ghost Whisperer. I don't know if you ever watched that show. It had Jennifer Love Hewitt in it, and she was like uh, a medium ghost whisperer thing. She could see dead people and talk to ghosts and would help them out, right? Um, and I was watching it, and the funny thing is, this one episode, it was the first episode that a ghost ever went into her home, because she would always see ghosts all over the place. But this time she was lying in bed and she heard something, and she started coming out to her room. She got into the hallway. She turned around, saw the ghost. Boom, my TV blew up. No joke.
What?
Yeah, my TV just went poof, and blew up. I was so shit scared that night. I slept with the lights on, and I did not leave my room. I locked my door, and I would not come out of my room until daylight. Yeah.
Hey, that's yeah, that's fucked up. I
Yeah.
don't even know.
I think the only other things, like, really, like, those are the big ones that, like, stand out to me. Other than that, we had a lot of, you could hear walking around. You'd get cold flashes every now and then, like, almost sudden, like, something cold kind of come over you. Um, there was one night I heard what sounded like a ferret clawing at my door, and we had just lost Molly and Nikki, and it was like a month, well, 2 months later, or whatever, we had gotten another one. Now I'm not sure how far into us having the new one this happened, but I heard clawing at the door, and I remember yelling to my mom because her room was right across from mine, and I yelled to her, I'm like, "Did you shut Tinker's cage?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think so." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I hear clawing at the door, and I could see a shadow under my door that looked like a ferret." But I had this, I don't know, I just had this really weird feeling that I just didn't open the door for a while. And then I finally opened up the door, and I creeped because the ferret's cage was in my old room. So I like creeped in there, and I flick the light on, I look, no, he's sleeping there. Cage is all locked up and shut and everything. And I'm like,
What
um,
the fuck?
yeah.
So was your house just haunted, or?
Oh, 100% it was. 100%. There's no, like, no doubt about it. That house is so haunted. Um, my mom did finally start uh, hearing things herself. She always just chalked it up to just the house or whatever, but she did hear um, people walking around. And there was one day she had heard someone walking around. She thought it was me. So she came upstairs, and she was in the kitchen, and no one was there. And then all of a sudden she could hear kind of footsteps behind her. And it felt like she could just feel like a breath on her back of the neck. And she like turned around and there was nothing there. And that like freaked her out. Um, and then there was one time my mom accused me of moving around some of her ornaments. Like my mom, I don't know if you remember, you weren't really at her place a lot, but she had a curio cabinet. Do you know what a curio cabinet is?
Uh, kind of.
It's like one of those
Is that
cabinets
where you put
things.
like knickknacks and shit?
Yeah, like your ornaments and stuff like that. Yeah. So she had one in the kitchen there. It was in the corner, and that's where all her ornaments were. Now, every time I had to like clean the house or whatever, I would never touch her curio cabinet ever because I was always so scared I was going to break something. And my mom is so particular with where she has everything, and it has to all be in like the perfect spot all the time. So I wouldn't go in there. Anyway, so she had accused me at one point of going in there and moving some of her ornaments. I'm like, what are you talking about? She had found an ornament of Mary, and it was on like it uh, you would think maybe it was knocked over, right? But it was face down, and the way that it
Ass
was
up.
turned, yeah. The way that it was turned though, how she was originally standing, it wouldn't have been possible for her just to fall over like that. Like it was moved around and turned. Like she would have had to have fallen backwards and then flipped over for her to be in the position that she was in. Um, and then there was a couple other ornaments that she had that were turned completely around. And I was like, well, no, that wasn't me. Like, I don't touch your stuff in there. And then she was asking, oddly enough, if it was like one of my friends or something. I'm like, no, like, nobody touched your stuff. No one was there. But yeah. So there's been a lot of incidents like that, water running, hearing things, cold spots, things moving. We have oh, my mom had like one of those what do you call it? The those ornaments that you turn and it plays like a tune. The hell are those called?
Music box?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. It wasn't obviously a box that you would open, but it was something that, yeah, an ornament that had music in it. Yeah, those things have started up out of nowhere all of a sudden, just randomly sitting there, and all of a sudden they'll start playing. But yeah, I don't know. There's been lots of weird stuff that's happened in that house. And the weird thing is that I I don't know, when my parents were leaving, like whatever was in the basement, I was okay with that like not being around. But I almost felt, I don't know. I wonder whatever happened. Like if the new
Like with
owners,
the new people?
yeah, if they ever experienced anything. Apparently they didn't last very long. They were only in that house for a couple months and they were gone. They don't live there anymore.
Oh yeah. So Joe kicked him out.
Maybe. I don't know. But it just kind of it makes me wonder, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah. See, I don't know. Yeah, I've never. I don't know. See, like a lot of those like those shows, like those. They kind of. But like, if I don't know, just like if you experience something like on your own, and especially with corroborating, like I don't think your mom's like she's not a bullshitter.
Well, no, definitely not.
Well, I know you are. Like you make up everything.
Get
So
fucked. I do not.
yeah.
You're so full of shit.
Wow.
Such an
Yeah.
asshole. But the thing is, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, there's been many times where I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, am I losing my mind? Like, is this really happening or am I imagining things? Like, but then, I mean, there's been times where there's been other people around and they've seen it and witnessed it. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, it was just like this huge sigh of relief, you know? Like, finally, somebody else is seeing and hearing this too. Like, I'm not going crazy. I've had to call when my mom was at work, I remember calling my neighbor, which was her best friend at the time, to come over because of things I was hearing. And she's like, "Oh, it's nothing." Like she thought I was losing my mind, but which I really thought I was too. The funny thing is, we were watching TV one day, and like my mom and I, and there was this movie that was previewing that was coming out to theaters soon or whatever, and it showed this little boy. I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me, but it showed this little boy, and he was pointing up, saying, "What's that?" Like whispering, like, "What's that?" Right? And my mom all of a sudden was like, "Oh my God, it's Kimberly." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, that was you as a kid." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Apparently, I would see things when I was a kid. And I was constantly like, what's that? Who's that? Da 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 da." That she actually brought me to a psychiatrist when I was 2 years old because she was scared something was wrong with me. And then the psychiatrist told her that, well, sometimes kids see things adults don't. She's like, "Well, thanks. That's really reassuring." But yeah.
See, I remember like when the kids were really younger. So, and this isn't to kind of be mean to young children, but like they were super young, so their brain isn't really like developed yet, and so randomly they would just stop and just stare, like just a dead stare, and you like, hello, are you alive? What are you doing? And then all of a sudden they would just snap out of it, and I remember talking with their doctor about it, and they said, "Oh, that's still like their reptile brain is still kind of functioning. Like it's still that's like the dominant part that they're working from." So just randomly they would just sit and just stare at something. But I remember in the apartment, or well, in one of the apartments that I lived in, they all my oldest, he would always look at one particular corner, like just he would always just look there, and he would just look and look and look, and then my ex, or well, I guess the kid's mom at the time, she was always like really big into like ghosts and oh my god, is this place haunted? Or, like, what is he seeing? What do you see? And kids can, yeah, they can see things that that we just can't. More sensitive to it.
It's the same with animals, though.
Yeah, yeah. No, I trust animals a lot more than I think I do some people.
my
Like when the
my
dog,
my coffee mug. If my dog doesn't like you, neither do I.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's more just those energies. Like the only thing that's really been weird that I've experienced was when my Juju died. That was the only one that I really had a weird experience. And I know my mom, like she brings it up, but I can still picture it. I only remember the one image from my dream, and I was standing outside his house, and I seen he was like up in like the sky, and he said it was something to the effect of like goodbye Tyler, or I'll see you, I'm okay. It was something like that, something very reassuring. And
Aw.
it was actually when he died, like after he died, that's I had that dream. So like I
Whoa.
think he ended up dying through the night, if I remember correctly. And that night while I was sleeping, I had that dream.
Dude, he came to
That
come say goodbye to you.
yeah.
And you really question and make fun of me for ghost stories? Like, I mean, he came to say goodbye to you. That's so sweet. That actually
Yeah.
happened with uh, a friend of mine. His cousin just recently passed away, um and unfortunately from a drug overdose. But that night he had actually had a dream, and he hadn't seen his cousin in a long time. And he had a dream about him and his cousin. They were kind of going out and they were having a good time and stuff like that. And then he woke up and got a call from his mom telling him that his cousin died. And I was like, "Oh my god." And that same thing, like, you got a chance to say goodbye. Like, it's so sad, but it's amazing all at the same time.
Yes, I don't like I just that's the only thing that I remember from that, and it was yeah. I don't know. Like that was the only thing, but I never experienced like ghosts or anything like that. Like I do know my imagination has kind of run away on me, with like thinking, did I see this? Or, like
Yeah.
trying to trying to justify it, but
I think there
yeah,
was
that's it.
I think there was only one time I was actually ever scared to go into my house, period. I remember going home one day and it was dark, and I had pulled up, and as I got out of the car, I looked at the house as I always do, and I saw a man standing in the spare bedroom window. And I was just I remember looking up at him, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, is that Joe? That that him? Like, but I didn't go into the house at that moment. I ended up getting back into the car and driving around for a little while because I just couldn't bring myself to actually go in because I was by myself at the time, and I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. But um yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember when my mom had told me that I had seen things. Now, I have heard before about how people had when they're kids they would see things, and a mother or whatever had kind of encouraged it. And then as they got older, they were still able to see things. So I remember asking my mom, and I'm like, when I was a kid and I would see things, what did you tell me? I'm like, did you like encourage it, or did you tell me that I was like seeing things? And she's like, oh, I would not encourage it. She's like, are you kidding me? She's like, it scared the crap out of me. She's like, no, I told you there's nothing there. And what I had heard, I don't remember where I had heard this, like it's irrelevant, but somebody had said that when you, a lot of kids are like animals, like their minds are more pure, they're more open, so they don't know that these things that they're seeing are ghosts or they're spirits or they're not alive anymore. They see it as clear as day, as anybody else would, like as if you were a real person in front of them. But when you are constantly telling them that there's nothing there, then their brain starts to shut that off, right? Like their brain starts to associate with what they're seeing isn't real, and it starts shutting it down. And then eventually you don't see it anymore. Now, for me personally, I still have feelings. Um, I could be someplace or whatever, and something doesn't feel right, and I feel like something is there. I don't see it anymore, though. And I remember I was kind of mad at my mom. I'm like, why? Why would you tell me it wasn't real? Like, you should have like encouraged it. I'm like, maybe I could have been like a medium or something like that now and help people, or like, dang it, why? But I mean, it's
Well,
what?
mediums, like I'm sure you've heard like mediums helping cops and like
I mean, I think a lot of them are. Um,
bullshit.
I think that there are people out there who can and are mediums and are psychic. I believe that 100%. I have had my own feelings. I've seen things. I have had dreams that have come true. I've had feelings that have come true. Like I just knew, like, and I can't explain it. But so I do believe stuff like that is real. I do not believe, however, a lot of these people who tout themselves and are in at the forks or whatever, trying to palm readers and psychics and stuff like that. No, I don't. A lot of them, they're just in it for the money. They know how to talk. They know how to get information out of you. It's like that show, The Mentalist. I believe that more. Sorry.
The Mentalist.
Yeah, he's like, he reads people. He's not psychic in the slightest. He's oh, you call
Oh,
it.
it's like a cold reader, like those types of people.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to plays like a psychic consultant, but yeah, he he's a master at reading people. Like he can get stuff out of you, and he kind of jokes around with it and plays like he's a psychic, but he'll say like, "No, I'm not a psychic." It's just he's really good at reading people and getting information out of them. You can ask them questions, and he knows how to read to see their bodies. Like he knows how to read their bodies. They Your body gives information sometimes that your mouth doesn't, and you don't even realize it. So it's quite interesting. But I think a lot of the people who are, say, working with the cops, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe there are some out there that are legit, but I think a lot of them, they're just really good at reading the crowd, reading their area. I don't know. I don't know. I'm it, it's funny because I'm not stupid. Like I'm not an unintelligent person. Like I can make sense of things, and there are certain things that just don't, you can't make sense of them, and I believe them, but I doesn't mean I believe that all these people who claim to be psychics or everybody that can see things are there, or someone telling a ghost story is a real story and not just something made up. Like I no. I go by my experiences. And it's funny because my mom, who is Catholic, and well, my pretty much my whole family is. But I remember having a conversation with her where she's like, you believe in ghosts and spirits and stuff like that, but you don't believe in angels or God." And she's like, "That doesn't make any sense." I'm like, "Well, it absolutely makes sense. I have seen it. I have witnessed it. Now, if I were to see God or see an angel, then 100% I would believe it. But it's not something I've ever seen. So it's very easy for me to say, yes, spirits and ghosts are real. 100%. Because I've witnessed it. I've lived it. You know,
Yeah. Actually, you want to hear a joke? I got a good one.
God.
What's the difference between acne and a Catholic priest?
Oh, this is going to be bad. I don't know.
Acne usually comes on a boy's face after he's 12.
Oh my God. Oh,
Uh,
if there's a hell, you're still going there.
there seems to be a lot of cool people there. So,
I think this is hell. But if I were to believe in a heaven or a hell, I would believe that Earth is hell.
what? Why?
Um,
Because all the ghosts?
yes. No, just the bad shit that happens here. How people are like they're just I don't know. There's a lot of really good people out there, and I'm not saying everybody is bad, but there's a lot of real shitty people out there. And I think that with all the again, if I were to believe in a heaven or a hell and stuff like that, I think Earth has so many different temptations and all this and all that. And I, my theory was always like, because you would hear the stories about how Lucifer was cast down to Earth.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He was cast down to Earth. So then what, he decided to just start digging down and make a hell? I don't know. I think that if there is such a thing, that this is hell and you got to try and fight your way out of it and be a decent human being to be able to get to someplace better.
So, oddly enough, I was listening to Elijah Woods talking today. I think his name's Elijah Woods. Elijah.
Actor,
No,
like
not
from
Elijah
Hobbit?
Woods. No. Elijah Schaefer.
Yeah, definitely two different people. Okay.
Schaefer. Yeah, definitely two different people.
One is a hobbit.
Yeah. And he was talking about all this stuff that, like, God is supposed to be like perfect and all this stuff. And then Lucifer got envious of him. And that's, he was saying, I don't want to get into it too much, but it was, I don't know, the thought that, well, I guess he was kind of talking about, like, oh, God died and, Jesus died and he was risen and, we're all born with original sin and like we're all terrible human beings and all this stuff. I don't know if, like, he started to go pretty deep into this and hearing it, the more and more I heard him talking, it sounded more and more like D&D.
Okay. Were there dragons?
Well, it's the fight of good and evil over people, and the good of that God has kind of permeated through the world, kind of keeps the devil at bay, and okay. Anyways,
There
I
is
don't know what
one
the
more
fuck we're.
story, I guess. One that I had in our house.
You want another really bad joke?
God, maybe hold that joke until after my story. Okay.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
it's that bad, I can just be like, and we're done. Just okay. So it's the only thing that's ever happened in this house. Um, and again, normally I have like, I'll get my feelings or whatever. I think the only place that actually like creeps me out in our house is that creepy hole that was by the washing machine that I covered up with a board. It
Well, yeah,
creeped me
there
out.
was a girl's body was found in there.
Oh, probably. No, it totally
No,
wasn't. I would have been all over that. Now,
no.
um, no, there was after my aunt had passed away, my mom, like the one that you came to the funeral with me in Saskatchewan. So my mom, when
Mhm.
she was out there, I guess had some of her clothes and stuff like that, and gave me some of her old pajamas. And I had them sitting in the bag for like a while, and then I'm like, okay. So I went and I put a pair of pants and a shirt. And I came downstairs and sat at the computer. Reese wouldn't come anywhere near me. I called her. Now, anybody who knows my dog knows that she is literally like Velcro to me all the time. And she would not come near me. I was calling her, and she'd just sit there and look at me. And then she wouldn't come close. The closest she would come is probably about 4, maybe 5 feet away from me. I'd put my hand out. I'd try and get closer. She would not come near me. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm sitting at the computer, and she's sitting there, and she kept looking like over my shoulder. She wasn't looking directly at me. She was looking over me, and she kept like making noises and barking and making like weird noises. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Yeah, she wouldn't come anywhere near me. And I had found out that my like the pajamas that I had, they hadn't been washed. Like my aunt didn't wear them. They weren't dirty. But the last time that they were washed or whatever is when she washed them. And because she wouldn't come anywhere near me and the way that she was acting was just so weird, I just all of a sudden got this like feeling, and I'm like, is my aunt here? And I just remember saying thank you and goodbye to her, but it was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess that's very similar to yeah, whatever guess kind of experienced a long, long time ago.
Hmm. I don't know. It's very strange.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay,
are you
where's
ready
your?
for this show to get?
Am I ready
Okay,
for
so
this?
I got. Well, I'll do one of them.
Oh
I'll do
God.
one.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. Let's warm it up a bit. Okay, just rub your nipples.
Well, I can't, but in my head I am. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so oh boy. Okay. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Okay, so father was sitting down at um on his couch, and he was reading a newspaper, and
Oh God.
his daughter runs into the room, and she says, Dad, a man came at me today. And father, he puts the papers down, and he grabs his daughter's shoulders, and he says, you need to tell me what happened. What happened? It's okay. Whatever happened, you can tell me. And so she says, okay, so we were playing in the park, and this man approached me, and he told all my friends to leave. She says, oh no, okay, what happened? What happened next? I said, oh, come on. He took me behind a tree, and he took his clothes off, and father interrupts. Okay, now what happened? You have to tell me what happened. So he told me to take off my clothes, and as the father, he's just, oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh my God, what happened next? And she says, well, nothing really happened beyond that. And he's sitting there stroking his dick. And he's like, oh, at least make something up.
So bad.
So with that,
Oh my God.
you could follow us. We're on YouTube. We're on Anchor, on Spotify. We're on Rumble. You can donate to the show if you like it. Like, share, subscribe. We're yeah. With that, okay. I think this was a good show. It was
Pretty spooky.
yeah. And I just want to leave someone with, or everyone with this final thing. So,
Oh, I just thought of something else I wanted to say.
okay, what?
Okay, so before you do,
you say what you want to say.
yeah, before you have the final word, which you like so much. I'm just kidding. Okay, so there's one more quick story I'm going to tell you. Okay?
Okay.
So when I was younger or a teenager, me and my friends, we like to go to old abandoned places, like do our own little like ghost hunting, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
And there was this one house that we went to. It was, I don't know if it was the oldest house in Transcona, but it was a house, and anybody who lives in Transcona would be familiar with this house. But it was on way down Day Street. It was on one side of the railroad tracks, and I guess a lot of people kept going there, so they ended up moving the house over onto the other side of the railroad tracks, which is on like a guy's like garbage dumpy thing area, scrapyard. I don't even know what it was, but it was over there. So a couple of my friends and I decided we were going to go check out this house. We were going to go trespass. Yeah, that's right. And we were going to go check.
One that was down like Day Street. That one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I got myself all like Agent Scullied up, had my gloves on, my camera, stuff like that. I was going in to investigate. So me and my friend, my one friend who drove decided she was going to stay in the vehicle. There was no way in hell she was going into this house. And then me and my other friend, we climbed over the gate and walked to the house. Now, as we get there, we go inside, and okay, before we went inside, there was this like skull sitting on the steps. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So on one side, it was the top half of the skull. And on the other side, like on the other side of the step, like on the left-hand side, it was the bottom half of the jaw. And I'm like, what the hell is that? But I'm like, okay, well, we'll look at it more after, right? I had picked it up, I put it together, and my friend snapped a picture. I do have a picture of me holding this thing. So I put it back down on the thing, and then we went into the house. So we had gone into the house, and as I walked in, there was like a living room or one room or whatever to my immediate right. Then you keep going through that room, and then there's stairs going upstairs. And then I think on the other side of the stairs is like a kitchen or something. I'm not sure. My friend made it past the stairs as I was going to this, like I got up to the stairs, and I remember looking up and I stopped, and I could have sworn I seen a little girl standing on top of the stairs. And I called my friend over, and she came over, and it sounded like you could hear stomping. And then you seen like what I seen, it almost looked like a shadow of like a man coming. And I was like, oh shit, we got to get out of here. So we decided to leave. So we ran out of the house. I picked up this skeleton head thing. And all of a sudden, this huge swarm of birds. Now, I had turned around to take a picture of the house. So I took one photo, and then I looked up and I saw a bird. And I was like, okay. So then I tilted my camera up, took another shot as a whole bunch of birds started coming. There were so many freaking birds. There was probably like 30, 40 of them came from the top of this house, and they were like, we just started running. We could all of a sudden hear dogs barking, and we just booked it through this yard. As soon as we climbed over the fence, now this wasn't one of those fences that's like a chain link fence or whatever. It's one of just those like gates. Like it had that fence, but it had one of those gates that just kind of like have like a little lock in between, and you open them, swing them open, you know? So you can easily walk over or under it. As soon as we got over this gate, the dogs turned back around and the birds turned back around. Everything just left. I'm like, what the hell? So my friend who was driving is like, what the hell is in your hand? Because I got the skull head in my hand. Brought it home. And I don't know. I just had this like,
bring a skull home.
because it was a skull head, it looked cool.
Like an animal's head or a person's head?
Animal.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. If it was a person's head, I probably would have done the exact same thing. I'm not going to lie. Anyway.
You fucking weirdo.
I know. Anyway. So, took it home. And the weird thing is, I walked in the house with it, and I just got this, like, bad feeling. And I was like, so then I brought it back outside. And I even got, like, a toothbrush. Like, I was scrubbing it. Like, it was dirty. Like, and I was cleaning it off and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure it was all clean. And then I was going to bring it in, put it up on my dresser. But the weird thing is, this thing looked so monstrous. Like, I had no idea what animal this was. So at the time, I was going to Windsor Park, and I was telling my art teacher about it. She had said that a friend of hers actually studies skulls. So if I won, I can bring it in, and she could bring it to her friend, and hopefully her friend will know what kind of a head this is. So I'm like, okay, fine. So that's exactly what I did. And this was, thankfully, okay, anyway. So I brought the skull in. She brought it to her friend. Came back. It turned out to be an African wild boar head. African. That somehow ended up in Transcona on this porch or stairs, whatever. Looking into it, apparently they use these things to ward off evil or to keep evil in. So somebody had brought that skull head there, put it on the step to keep whatever it was in the house in there. Now, funny story, I took that head and not a week later that house burned down. There's a big fire in Transcona and the house got burnt down. Yep.
I remember that abandoned house. That was by was that Griffin Steel or something?
Something like that.
I think it was actually pretty a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've felt pretty guilty thinking that it was because I took that head that the house burned down.
Probably.
Yeah, well, and after when I found out what it was, when my teacher had told me, I told her that she could tell her friend to keep it. I didn't want it back.
Wow.
Apparently, it's like bad if you take it. So I was like, okay, I don't want it back. I'm good.
So that's where Joe came from.
No, Joe was there before.
Oh.
Long before. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's insane. So yeah, that's a story I was going to tell you about that we got sidetracked with. So yeah, that's my stories. The good ones anyway.
Well, I guess, yeah. All right. Well, I guess the last one would be. So my first time playing football was much like the first time I ever had sex. I was bloody and sore at the end, but at least my dad came.
Oh, nasty. That's not what I was expecting at all.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Thanks for listening.